Well, let's go ahead and get started. I will introduce myself, and my name is L.S. Kirkpatrick. That's the name I use when I author my books and in my business. The sign behind me, I thought I changed it, but it's Roaring Like Lions Live, which is a live show I do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 10 and noon on all 3 days. That's Mountain Time. And I just have different guest speakers come in, anybody who has anything to share with other people that they can add value to their lives, they can take with them for their life, their business, or for both. Really enjoy this show. It's just amazing people out there. But today's training is actually on writing. I'll start from my beginning. I wrote some books when I was a child, but I never really finished them. I would have really good starts and then life would get in the way. I also deal with ADHD, so I have to be engaged all the time. And that was difficult when I was real young because one, nobody knew about ADHD. And then later they only thought boys had it, and then they thought you grew out of it. So it's been a challenge, but I love it. It's part of my creativity. It's why I can write, why I can do things like I'm doing now. So from there, I started genealogy when our grandmother passed away, and our family discovered all of these letters and just information about where our family came from. And my mom and my sister did that. And then as time went on, it was all handed over to me. So I'd spent the last 30 some years just delving, surrounding myself, going all in 100%, learning about genealogy, about my family, finding primary documents, secondary documents. And primary documents are the actual letters that are written, the actual paperwork that is done, firsthand accounts. Secondary is somebody else telling the story that maybe they were there, but they weren't actually involved in the story itself as the main characters. And then you have all the other documentation that you have to kind of take with a grain of salt. But sometimes it's very legitimate. And that training, all of that researching has really helped me into being a better writer, especially when I'm doing legacy books, which is books about people's lives and stories. I did a lot of GAR members, finding their patriots for them, you know, the person that fought in the American Revolutionary War. And you have to be accurate. You have to find everything. So that was good training, but I love writing. I love doing this. And what I really love doing is helping other writers get their stories out there. So that's a little bit about me. Marianne, am I saying your name correctly, Marianne?
Marian, like librarian.
Okay, Marian Librarian, that's great.
Or maid Marian.
Oh, there you go. I like that too. I'll grab my book here where I can write everything down. Sorry, I moved my office indoors. I'm usually out in the shed, which is fine, but we actually had snow, so it's kind of cold out there. So what I would like to do to start off is to find out what are you doing right now for writing? Do you have a book that you've started or you're in the middle of, you're about to finish?
I'm in the middle of a couple of projects, one of which is that I'm ghostwriting a book for my pastor on a 17 message series that he did.
Okay.
And it's been interesting, and I'm learning a whole lot. I'm not as crazy about ghostwriting as I thought I would be, but I sure love helping him. I have another project I'm working with. That my goal right now is to help other people get their book out so that they can use it to scale their business, and even use it to go into coaching to build themselves a legacy business.
Oh, wow, that sounds wonderful. I'm writing this down here. Okay.
Yeah.
Have
It's,
you written?
what's interesting, go ahead, ask your question.
Oh, no, that's okay. Well, I was going to say, have you written this kind of a book before?
I've written 2 books, and they were in the health niche. My husband was diagnosed as a diabetic um, nearly 11 years ago now, and they gave him a very poor prognosis, and I refused to accept that as his life sentence. So I
Good.
did research, and we changed diets, and he learned to read labels from me, and his very, very negative numbers went down to practically normal. The last one was a normal reading. And he said, you need to write a book on that. So I did. And then I realized that people they know what to do, but they're not doing it. And what would that be? So I researched that and wrote another book. So those are the 2 that I have published now.
Oh, that's great. What are their titles?
One is called Diabetes Diet Options: What to Eat, When to Eat, and How to Regain Your Health. And the other one is Overcome Diabetes: Stop Making Excuses. I forget the word.
That's okay.
Resist the hype. And yeah, resist the hype and save your life.
Okay. And are they on Amazon, or where do you have them at?
Yes, they are. Yes,
Okay,
they are.
good.
You could look up on Amazon on my name, and you'll see them both. I also edited a book for a friend, and she actually included my name in her Amazon description. So if you go by my name, you'll see that book come up too. They were Christian fantasies.
Oh, fun. Okay, great. So the book we're writing now, the ghostwriting one, that one, even though you're writing it, it really isn't your book. So let's talk about ghostwriting a little bit, just for somebody who maybe isn't familiar with it. My understanding of ghostwriting is they give you the information, you write the book for them, they read it, approve it, and then it goes out in their name. So your name actually never gets on the book. Is that correct?
That's correct, unless he chooses to put it in the not a forward, but in the acknowledgments page.
Okay.
Basically, I'm taking 17 sermon messages that he has done, and I've had them transcribed, but he wanders from I've got his notes, so I have to take his notes and what he said and toss out the things that are extraneous and make sure that it's his voice
Right.
and put it out there. He had a couple of people that were working with him on this before he met me, before I started going to the church. And the it took a little while getting going before we realized, they weren't writing his voice.
Ah.
In fact, one of them even told me, she said, I didn't know exactly how to handle this, so I went and listened to some other pastors who have gotten books out, and I wrote it like Tony Evans. And
yeah.
he is definitely not Tony Evans. And so I said, we can't do that. Don't do that. And so I stopped letting them go through it, politely, mind you. But
Yes.
it was a interesting transition because it has to be his voice.
Yes.
And so I can take that, and then he'll take it and fluff it a little. And then when we've got the whole thing done, then I will, as he calls it, knit it together.
Right.
And
Right.
make sure that it's ready to go. But it's really been a growing, interesting experience. And right in the middle of it, I had COVID, so that was a lot of fun too.
Oh goodness. Yeah, that would be interesting. That's you bring up a really good point about writing, and we have to watch this with our own stories too. When we're having someone else edit it for us, is keeping that voice in there. So that was really great that you were insightful to see that his voice wasn't being put in there and to keep that in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who love ghostwriting, and that's one of the things I have to be really careful with. A lot of times I have heard, I've just been researching this recently, and many authors will stick with one ghostwriter that they like because they have found that person's voice, and they know that it will always be their voice. So that's a good point to bring up. And just to expand on that a little bit, with us as writers, when we go to have an editor edit our book, they may do a great job with it, but maybe sometimes they've changed it somewhere that it is no longer our voice, but their voice in the story. And it's okay to say, you know, sorry, editor, I don't like this. You know, so don't think if you've gotten an editor, you have to stay with them if you don't like what they've done. It's your book, your voice, so you can change that.
Yeah.
It was nice to see you for a little bit. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to come right back. I'm trying to take away the glare.
okay. So do you have any questions on your ghostwriting? Are there any problems that you're running into? Anything that you're not quite sure what to do?
Not so much that. It's what was interesting was working with this other woman. She is an excellent writer, and that's what I told her. I says, I love what you've written. It just isn't his voice.
Right.
And so that's what we've had to be so careful with.
So if you don't mind me asking, how did you handle a situation like that? Not so much talking with her, but taking what she had written that was good, but putting the pastor's voice in it.
I think I'm good at that. That's one of my abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I know what his sense of humor is, how he words things. I can recognize patterns, what he's doing, so I make sure that they stay. He has a habit of repeating things 3 times, and he's doing it very deliberately. And after I mentioned it to him, he told me that it was very deliberate. For example, he'll say, I just love this, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And so I put that in. I keep that. And it's not like all over the place, but it's a sprinkling of.
Right.
And that's where the other woman took it out and made it one love.
Oh,
because
okay.
she thought it was redundant.
Right.
And that is where you can take away the sound of their voice.
Right. Oh, good. Okay, so let's talk about your other work in progress, scaling the business for coaches. Is that correct?
Actually, what I'm doing is, scaling a business for coaches. I have a friend who is an auto mechanic and was saying something about he had put together some notes, and actually it was a series of questions and answers about what's wrong with my car. And he gets these all the time. And so he said, I've got all of this together. And I said, let's put together a book. And he's going to call it, Why Won't My Car Start? And so it's interesting because what his heart is for them to be able to have a book and put it in their glove box. And if something goes wrong with their car, they can pull it out and thumb through it and find what's going on with their car. Oh, look, I've got some liquid underneath my car and it's what color? Oh, that could be this. And he says so many people have been duped into, oh, you have something really serious with your car.
Yeah.
That's wrong with your car. And it's a cheap fix. And so and even when people bring him his car, he'll look at it and say, if you go to the auto shop and you buy a $5 part and just do this, he's happy to do it. But sometimes he'll just say, hey, a $5 part, you can just go easily put that in. Anybody, including a girl, can put it in. And he's had many people say, wow, you saved me hundreds of dollars. So
Yeah, that's
anyhow,
really great. I
and
would buy that
the
book.
thing, yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I want to make that one a bestseller. So I'm really working on doing that to turn it into a bestseller for him. But the interesting thing is, when we were first talking months ago, he had made a remark about he also is a personal trainer, but he
Oh,
gave up doing that to grow his auto mechanics business because that was more lucrative for him and taking care of his family. But he says, you know, the real problem is I can't do this forever,
mm,
and I need some kind of um, business or some kind of income to fall back on besides Social Security. And
mhm.
so I have addressed him on this subject. I said, have you ever mentored anyone? And he said, oh, yeah, I mentor other mechanics all the time. And he says, I've had people come back and say, I used what you taught me in Save blah, 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 or did such and such. And I said, I would like to help you take your book and turn it into a coaching mentoring program for you
Nice.
and show him how he can go and do that. And so that really excites me about being able
Uh,
to give him a coaching program.
yeah, and that brings up a really good point too, is whatever book we write, you can do so many more things with it. You know, a lot of people have their books out, they become speakers. As you said, they become mentors, they uh, make workshops from it, they do live shows like this. It's just amazing the different avenues you can take if you want to from producing a book. Now, those are nonfiction books. So if you're a fiction writer, it's like, well, I'm a fiction writer, what can I do? Well, maybe you're writing on a topic that some groups really like, whether it's supernormal, paranormal, cartoons, you know, uh, uh, trying to think of the right word for comic books. That's not the right word I want. I haven't my genres here. Any of those, because you can go on and talk to people about how you did it, you know, create some steps, you know, teach them what you've done, you know, talk to kids in grade schools about writing their book and just, you know, some things to do. So that's a really great point to bring up. Books can do so much more. I recently heard that your book is your calling card, your business card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that's a really good point too. Is, you know, always keep one with you, or two or three.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So,
Right.
so the book you're doing now is helping this mechanic get his mechanic book done. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yeah. Why won't my car start? And it's um he doesn't have the knowledge in the writing area. He's just written down all of these things, and he's a better writer than he thinks he is. So it's
Yes.
easy to just take it from there. But it's what I've noticed other people have done. I've written this book. Now what do I do with it?
You're right.
And so
Right.
I'm helping him with the next and formatting it. And he says, well, I thought it should be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not going to fly. You need it to be one of these sizes. Oh, I'll take that size, you know, something like that. And I says, it's just got to fit in the glove box. And that's the important part.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
so it's fun being able to do that. And then we're going to walk through this, getting him students to follow and work with other mechanics and so forth that want to grow their businesses.
And this apply
I'm
for
excited to be
other
able to
people.
help.
Yeah, this could apply to other people besides mechanics. You know, whatever their
Uh-huh.
niche is, whatever they're doing. Um, you know, once they write the book, then it can go on to other things if they want to do more with it. So that's really
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's what I want to do. And Joe is just one of them.
Nice. So, do you have deadlines set for both of these books?
That's the problem. No, I don't.
Okay.
I did, and COVID happened.
Right. Right.
And what's interesting is that I got behind on my schedule.
Right.
And both of them are terribly forgiving. They don't care. They didn't have a date to begin with.
Right.
And as my pastor said, I'd rather have a good book that I'm not ashamed of than one that we get done by a set date.
Right. I'm so glad to hear
we're
that.
pushing
That's so
that.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we were trying for Christmas of last year, and that just wasn't going to happen.
so maybe Christmas of this year?
I'm hoping that it will be sooner than that. I would like to see it done by the end of summer.
Excuse me. Okay, that would be great. So you kind of have a deadline.
And I'm also rewriting my first book. So
Okay.
I've got that going on at the same time.
Yeah, us writers don't seem to just stick with one book at a time. Some people can, other people,
Yeah.
they always have several works in progress going on. So my question is, do you have, so you have these three things going on, the pastor book, say probably the end of summer. What about the mechanic book? Have you kind of an idea about when you'd like to get that done?
I'm shooting for all of them around the same time.
Okay. Okay.
It sounds crazy, but yes, I am. They all have different journeys to travel.
Right. Right. Okay.
It's getting the word out. The big thing for me is creating a plan and executing it for the bestseller thing, the social media, the whatever is necessary in order to run it down the path to become a bestseller.
Okay, that's a really good point to bring up. A lot of people don't realize the marketing and the research and the time and effort it takes to do a bestseller. Have you gotten a book to be a bestseller before?
No, and that's why I'm rewriting mine and going to launch it and try to bring that one to a bestseller. And so I have to be able to say, yes, I've got a bestseller in order for me to say, hey, I'm the person to help you get to bestseller.
Right, right.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring out.
And yeah.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about then is publishing. Are these books self-published, or do you have a publisher to go through? They're self-published books. Okay.
I'm well, I'm an indie publisher. I'm not calling myself a self-published. So I have a publishing company that publishes my books.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, indie is a new word that I heard. I'd never heard that before. And I actually find that there's like 3 different definitions I've heard. So I would like to hear what you consider as an indie publisher.
It's the same thing as a self-publisher, but it's a more acceptable term. And rather than just loving hands at home, kind of an concept of, okay, I go up on KDP and I get an account and put my book in there and we're done. I'm actually given myself a publisher name, and that's the one I use to go to my identifier to Bowker's to get the ISBN. I was listening to another trainer talking about getting book published and going to self-publishing, and I learned a lot, but I was amazed that they were saying you don't need to have an ISBN, just let Amazon do it, because they have immediately stopped where they can put their book.
Right.
And they don't understand the ins and outs of that, and I do. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to do with the publishing company. And I'm working with my pastor. We're creating a publisher's name for him
Okay,
I may be doing the mechanics of it, but he is going to publish under his own publishing name so that he can buy the ISBNs under his publishing name.
right,
And that makes it an indie publishing rather than indie meaning independent, obviously.
right,
But he is, the way I address it is, rather than saying, oh yes, I'm self-published, I am published by an independent, an indie publishing company that publishes books like I write.
right. Very good.
So,
Very good. And
yeah.
that is something to bring up too, is ISBN numbers. Yes, you can get Amazon ISBN numbers, but they are only good for Amazon books. If you want your book to have an ISBN number, you have to get your own to go in other venues, other platforms, Barnes and Noble. Gosh, there's so many online places to get your book sold. So that brings up.
Well, with even
ahead.
even with the Amazon, you can't even put your book on your own website.
Oh, is that right? I did not know that.
Yeah, you can't sell it from your website. You can send them back to Amazon, but you cannot sell your book from your website if you're using an Amazon number.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm going to write that down here.
And if you want to go into anything, any other stores, any other resource that sells books, you cannot do it through Amazon because Amazon, they can't buy it from Amazon and put it on their bookshelves. They're competitors.
Right.
So
right.
then you need to go through Ingram.
Okay.
Ingram or
I've heard of them.
There's one other, and I forget the first word, and it's like something in Taylor, but Ingram is the distributor through which you can buy. Right now, there's been some struggles with them because they've changed ownership and gotten a little persnickety. But
Okay.
But anyhow, you have to be able to be in control of your book. Years ago, I helped a client of mine recover a book from Lightning Source, which is a division of Ingram, and they provided the ISBN for her book, and it was a huge struggle trying to get that book back.
Yeah, that's good things to be aware of if you're self-publishing. That you really have to know what you're getting into. That sometimes you don't have the rights to your own book going through publishing companies, and that's why you'll see some publishers. It's getting to be a lot more, I've noticed, that say you keep the rights to your book. And there's a lot of publishing companies out there who will get the ISBN numbers for you, who will get them out on the distribution list so it can go be sold in several online places. But you need to make sure that you still keep the rights to your book. And, like you said, you can sell it on your website. You can take it to the stores, sell it out of your car, wherever, and have the legal ability to do that. So this is kind of getting towards the, after your book is written. Let's go back a little bit more to your book now. So some of the first things, and I know that you already know this, but for the sake of the training, for those that are going to see it, is you have to know who your book is being written for. And everybody says, well, I want everybody to read my book, but I write children's books. And I know that adults are going to read the books, to their 6 and under kids. But the book is not for the adults, it's for the kids. However, I do need to make it colorful and bright and appealing, because the adults are not going to buy it for their kids if it looks like a boring little book. But so you need to think about who your audience really is. The books I have for teenagers, preteen years, sometimes they can buy their own books. Most of the time they can. Sometimes the parents have to buy it. So you kind of have to think about what you're doing. The books I write for kids 16 and over, I don't want anyone under 16 reading it. It's not appropriate for their age yet. Not that there's anything inappropriate in the books, but they're just not ready for it in understanding yet. If I'm writing books for adults, it's not appropriate for kids 6 and under, because they don't even think that way yet. My legacy book.
Hey there.
Hi, sorry about that. I guess we lost connection, so I switched it over to my phone. So we shouldn't again. Never
Very
had
good.
that happen before. Oh well. Here we go.
Always technical fun stuff.
Oh yeah, well we had snow last night of all things.
Where are you? Where do you live?
We're in central Idaho, and
Oh my.
I mean it can happen. Usually doesn't, but it's just been crazy spring, just like in other places too. So we were kind of talking about who the book is written for. So let's go on to the next one. And I think we've kind of covered, when you want it done, why you're writing the book. The other thing we need to think about is, what do we want our readers to get out of it? So, the pastor that has his 17 sermons, I'm sure he wants people to, discover more about God and themselves, discover God if they've never met him. But what is the real purpose of his book? What does he want to see? What's his vision for the book to the person who's reading it?
He is writing for people to understand that no matter where they are, if they're feeling overwhelmed or confusion, they want to realize that God is more than whatever their challenges are. Awesome. And that's the whole point of the series, that God is more than enough of whatever your challenges are. And he goes through several different situations and covers God is always there for you.
Nice. And the mechanic book, we've kind of talked about that. His vision is for people to not get taken advantage of, to
Correct.
see their ability to solve the problem, not panic because it's probably could be something minor, or to know if it's something major.
To have a sense of what's going on with their car, so that if it's little, they can fix it. But if not, obviously they can, if they're local enough, they can take it to him, which is the point of scaling his business. But just so that they know when they do go to a mechanic, they don't have somebody pulling the wool over their eyes.
Right. And that's good to know. When I was growing up, probably with you too, most people knew how to fix everything. Then, like my kids, they weren't sure what to do. And so, my husband and I taught them as much as we could for learning, and how to maybe be aware that if you can't fix it, maybe there's some things you can keep an eye out for. I know our son, he said, kind of felt out of his comfort zone when something went wrong with a car. And he was a little leery to take it to a mechanic, but he needed it fixed, so he took it to a mechanic. But he could tell by the way the mechanic was talking that maybe he should find a different mechanic, which he did. And it was a good thing. So it's just being aware of these things. It's not like this is how to fix it yourself book. This is how to be aware of the situation so you don't get taken advantage of. I really like that. That's really good. So you have 3 books. So that means you need to schedule your time writing. How do you schedule your time writing? And there's a second part to that, but let's get the time part first.
Time blocking.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm a binge writer, and when I get writing, I block out everything else, and it isn't purposeful that I do. I just do. I get into it, and then all of a sudden I look up and realize, oh my goodness, 4 hours are gone.
Yes.
But I try to time block as much as I can and say it's going to take me this long to do this section, and block off that time.
Now, I like the way you approach that. It's going to take me this long to do this. Some people don't think about that. They'll go, okay, I'm blocking off from 8 to 9, that's when I'm going to write. And they get writing, they realize 8 to 9 isn't enough time. Or they realize 8 to 9 is too much time, depending on what they're writing.
Oh, yeah, that's true
I love
too.
your laugh. Yeah. One lady I was talking with, she says when she writes, she only writes 15 minutes at a time. She gets in her car before she goes into her office. She sits in her car, writes for 15 minutes, leaves it there. When she comes home before she goes into her house, she writes 15 minutes in her car. So she's writing 30 minutes every day, 5 days a week at least. And that's how she gets her books written. So
It works.
Yeah, it works. So you need to find a time that works for you. So that brings me to the second part of the question, is the where. She writes in her car. I've been told it's important to write the same time, same place every day. Now, what's your take on that?
I have an office in my house, and that's where I write.
Yeah.
And my mind is constantly working, and I'll write little bits and pieces into my iPad's note taker.
Okay, good.
So I have that that I can go back and pull things from. And right now I'm in the process of realizing I've got to scale down some of the places that I leave notes, because I was looking for something. The things you find when you're looking for something else.
Yes.
I found I use Evernote, and in Evernote I was searching for some other things, and I ran across a blog idea, and I said, that's good, I'm going to go post that. I wrote it in 2019.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And it never made it to the light of day. So I copied it off, and I'm going to go post it.
Yep. I know a lot of people will use this handy little device here called the cell phone.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
But on there, you can do audio recording. You can talk to your phone, record your ideas down. I have a program called Color Notes because I'm very visual. Let's see if I can pull it up here for you. And you can see maybe let me get it up close to the camera. Nope, put it on my face. Nope. I guess you can't see
glare.
it. Yeah, but it's just like Post-it notes, except it's in one place. I tried Post-it notes, had it all over my phone. It's like, I can't do this. It's too crowded. It's too messed up. So I found Color Notes, and everything's in one place. I can color code them. I can write it either as text or as a list. And that helps really well with outlining.
Oh, I think that's the one that I use. I just didn't know it by name. But I have that on my phone, and then I have a similar one on my iPad. I don't use my phone for as many things as other people do, because I'm so used to my phone or my iPad. I'm spoiled rotten. I want a bigger screen.
Yeah, and you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, but for a girl, it's interesting. In order to buy a purse, it has to be big enough to hold my iPad.
Yes.
But I'm trying to use my phone more because it is less cumbersome.
Right.
But yeah, I do. I've got a note place in both of them.
Right. I also carry a digital recorder. It's right there, and then I know it's just voice only. I don't have to look in my phone, and try to get to the place that I want to be, and then have someone call me or text me while I'm doing that. So it's kind of a way just to separate it too. So those are good things to bring up. Let's see. When we're talking about places to write, I'll just touch on that a little bit. Sometimes I wake up real early in the morning. Don't know why. I just do. Always have. So like at 2 a.m, it's like, okay, I'm awake. I'm wide awake. What am I going to do? Can't, putter around and wake everybody up. So I'll start writing. And, before I know 7 o'clock in the morning, oh yeah, I should be up by now. But so I understand writing in blocks like that. The other thing I want to ask you, somebody, I try to talk to a lot of writers and see what they do and understand more about the process of writing. I have someone trying to come into the room. Let me admit them into the room.
Okay.
Ava. Yeah, we're getting ready to leave. Hi, Ava. Thank you for coming. We're talking with Marian Hays right now about her writing. And I just got distracted in my thoughts. Oh, I know what it was. It's about, no, I don't. Welcome to ADHD brains. It just loses it that fast. That's okay.
Keeping track of things.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It is gone. It is gone. Okay. So going through my notes here of things that I wanted to talk about. Oh, I did want to talk about genres a little bit because there are so many genres in writing a book. So it's important to know where your book is going to fit. And Marian, this might help too when you're trying to be a best-selling author. If you're going through Amazon to be a bestseller, you have to look at the algorithms that Amazon uses to be a bestseller. So maybe your book, you have genres: fantasy, sci-fi, dystopian, thriller, romance, short story, young adult, and then the nonfiction ones too. So one thing I have learned that I wish I would have known before I put my books on Amazon is maybe your book is fantasy, but you need to narrow it down to more. Find books that are about your same topic and see what categories they're in. If your book is going to go in the same category that Tom Clancy or any of the other famous writers are in, that's pretty tough competition. But now if your book is down into another, keep going down until you only see like maybe there's only 3 or 4 authors or publishers in that category, you have a better chance of becoming a bestseller. And you really want those books to sell that first week. So that's where your launch party comes in. Your pre-sales go in. You have to start selling your book now while you're writing it before you get closer to date. You have to have people lined up to read your book before, and it doesn't have to be the full book. Maybe it's 2/3 of the book. Read your manuscript before you launch it, so they're ready to leave your reviews that day as soon as your book is launched. I can never figure out, these people just launched their book. How can they have 24 reviews on it already? Well, that's how, because they've got 24 people that they let read their book to leave a review. And be sure and tell people to leave honest reviews. If you see reviews on your books and they're pretty much, oh, this is a great writer, I read it all the time, it doesn't carry as much weight. The other thing is you have your launch party. Sell your book that first day for 99 cents as an ebook. You just want the book to get recognized. The first week is when you need to get your sales out there. You have to have people buying it that first week, so it really gets recognized. Those are just a few of them. So it's really important, you have to become a marketer. If you're going to be an indie writer, indie publisher, self-publish, you have to know the market and how it works. So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the long run, because you want the sales from your books. Maybe have I don't know, you can come up with things. Everybody has good ideas. You might, if you've got a children's book, maybe have your book, the rough copy of it or whatever, to read to school children the day before it launches, or or a week before, and then they can tell their parents about it. Send a little flyer, have something printed up to send home with the kids, and they're like, Mom, we read this in school today, it was so good, or Dad, this is one of the best books, or Grandma, you wouldn't believe what we did in school today. So those are just thoughts to go on, or to whatever group it's with. I'm thinking Now the mechanic with his book, he could let his clients know now, hey, I've got a book coming out, it'll fit in your glove box. It gives you all of
Mm-hmm.
these great insights. So you can look at these issues yourself, and what a great thing. It's like, hey, give these to your kids for Christmas or birthday presents, give them to your grandkids, nieces, nephews. You got a neighbor over here with someone, the kid doesn't ever take care of a car, give them the book to put in there, you know and those are just great ideas. Just keep expanding your horizons. As far as you may see your book in this little group now, but it's like, oh, wait a minute, we can expand over here. Oh, and then this group might like it. And you just keep going and going until you have more people than what you originally thought you could have on it. So those are ways to just kind of get your book out there and get it launched. Hi, Ava, are you with us? Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, I know the time zones are really tough. I have to get better at alerting people ahead of time and putting all the time zones in there. I'm glad you were able to make it on time, Marian. That was just wonderful. Well, I don't know, maybe Ava had to step away for a minute. I know she is a really busy person too. But I see our time is almost up. So do you have any more questions for me about what we talked about today?
How do you market?
Wow.
And besides having a launch party to do reviews, how do you market?
Well, like I said, you start telling people right away about your book. You tell everybody about your book. Till they're sick of hearing about your book, but you don't really want to be sick of it. You want to just keep engaging them in it. Talk about the benefits of your book, not just, hey, buy my book. It's like, well, why should I buy your book? What's in it for me? I'm tired. I don't like reading books. It's like, oh, but you'll love this one because of, and list the ways that are going to bring value to them, something that they can take with them. That's always important. And yeah, just right away, put it on social media. Used to be, oh, take an ad out in the paper. I don't know how many people read papers anymore or anything like that. Maybe set up ahead of time with bookstores, hey, I've got this book. Oh dear, Ava says she can't unmute herself. Okay, Ava, let's see what I can do. There, I'll ask to unmute. Can you try it now, Ava? Okay, she's still not. Well, I'm sorry, Ava, that's kind of frustrating. Ask to unmute. Yeah, we'll get it right on our next one. So yeah, I see we've just got about a minute left. Other ways that you can market it, of course, all kinds of social media. 2 weeks before your book's ready to come out, just really hit the social media. Make sure you put the picture of your book, where they can buy it, how they can buy it, and just do that, the 2 weeks before, and continue to do it. Do it the week that your book is out. Do it the 2 to 3 weeks after. You just don't stop. You've probably got about 6 to 8 weeks of actual marketing your book out on social media, so and get every social media you can. But make it appropriate for the social media. Facebook does not like links in their posts. Put the links in the comments. Instagram has their own algorithms for getting posts out there. LinkedIn, you need to have it professional. Don't make LinkedIn like you would Facebook or Instagram. You need that professional look in it. TikTok, do your videos on it. Just, wherever you happen to be, let it out there. See if you can get on podcast and get it out there. For your mechanic, let his buddies know. Start handing out a flyer to his customers. Hey, I've got this book coming out. For the pastor, he definitely let his congregation know. I don't quite know how that would work, but there's got to be a way, without being in church, everybody's here. Here for right now. Well, I'm trying to unmute you, Ava. I'm surprised that it's not happening. What we might do is come back on again. Let's see if I can.
I've got a hard stop right now because I need to be
That's
on
fine.
another program.
Right.
So,
So Ava and Nicholas, to those that are listening, we're going to come right back on. So I'll end this session. Thank you, Marian, for being here. I really appreciate your input. For those that are watching this right now, if you'd like to learn more about writing, I do have a free discovery call. We just talk for 30 minutes or longer if you need to find out what your vision is for your writing, who you want it to go to. And you could get that at writerstoreaders.com. Hi. And
Hello, good morning.
you can also find me on Facebook under Coach LS. And so for now, we're going to go ahead and close this session out. I'll open it back up and you can sign back in on that one. And you have a good day and we'll talk with you later.
thank you.
Let us know when your books are ready and we'll put it on here for you.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.